When I hold my hand up in the air like this, I'm quoting Teddy Roosevelt. Thanks, guys. Sorry. To the voices in my head, and to the voices on the sidelines, to the ones that make me question myself and constantly worry about stepping on social landmines, to the ones that ask, who do you think you are? What are you doing? Why do you even try? You won't get that far. I know that you were happier when I was afraid of my own depths, when I felt like taking the leap would be too terrifying, before I knew that owning this part of myself would be so electrifying. I was afraid enough that I almost let you stop me from stepping into the light, because the exposure of that moment was paralyzing. I remember the internal resistance rising because I was terrified of capsizing, of giving you justification for criticizing me. Of giving you justification for criticizing me, which would result in me despising myself even more than I already did. So I found myself overanalyzing and revising the decision that I made to be so enterprising. I considered compromising, because well-meaning friends kept patronizing my enthusiasm by advising that I considered downsizing the amount of space that I would take up. And voices like you kept devising ways of neutralizing any excitement that I might have by catastrophizing about everything that could go wrong and disguising my fear in little white lies like I'm just being realistic. It shouldn't have been surprising, but man, it was hard. But what I did not expect was the uprising.
Woo!
Of those who said that what I was doing was mesmerizing. I didn't know that I would be so polarizing, that while you voices were trying to scream me off the stage, others were galvanizing, because they were recognizing worth in my attempts rather than demanding perfection in my performance. And their alliance was stabilizing, exorcising you demons out of my head, baptizing my heart in a newness of hope, never realizing until that moment that what I had been vocalizing was symbolizing a battle that each of them was fighting for themselves. Woo! Woo! It's probably a battle that you have inside of you as well. But you're so worried about protecting yourself or others from falling to the ground, you try to pull them down. You challenge their confidence instead of filling their cup in an effort to never fall down. You never even stand up. And I get it, because I used to be that way, but not anymore. I remind myself, it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man or woman who is actually in the arena.
Hell yeah.
So just because you have tickets to the show, that doesn't give you license to throw tomatoes.
Yeah.
You don't have to clap. But you don't have to tell me to get off the stage. I don't belong in the wings, and I will not edit myself out of my own story. Because do you know how many tears and years of fighting fears that it took to finally arrive at this page? Woo!
Yeah.
I understand now that experiencing resistance like you is just the price of admission, but my imperfections are not your ammunition, and my courage is not target practice for your inquisition of whether or not I am worthy.
Yeah.
My shame is finally in remission, so I will not commit sedition against myself by apologizing for my ambition or pretending like this was just an audition to ask for your permission to take up space.
Bars.
I know that what you're looking for is submission, but you're too late. I've already started the ignition, and since being born was my permission to take up space, I don't need your grace.
Woo. Yeah.
And I won't say that this has been an easy transition, but this new rendition of who I'm becoming doesn't care about the conditions of your acceptance, thanks to the acquisition of true peace about who I am and who I want to be. So you can call me mortician. Because as I'm bucking tradition and creating a new definition of self, my old disposition is dying. And I know that what I'm aiming for may never fully come to fruition, but I am willing to risk that of my own volition. So my petition for you is that you take your suspicion of my unworthiness somewhere else, and don't call me a fool or a pretender, because I finally learned to be my own defender, and the self-worth that I've gained along the way that has gotten me this far, I will not surrender again.
Hell yeah.
Because now I understand that winning doesn't look like medals and accolades. It doesn't smell like the red carpet or taste like celebration. That's just the recognition for winning. What winning actually looks like is ragged feet from running the race, dirty hands and bloodied knees, and a cut-up face from falling down so many times it smells like sweat and grime, feels like aching muscles from keeping up this pace, and tastes like a dry throat from all the prayers I've been sending up while I climb. That's what the act of winning actually looks like. And sometimes I am winning so slowly that it feels like I'm failing. But despite the struggle, I still know that I'm prevailing. So please don't try to cut my wings just because I dare to grow some. I am willing to be someone who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming. You say people like us just aren't meant to fly. At least I'm someone who knows great enthusiasm. The great devotions, who spends myself in a worthy cause. And yes, I confess, I won't try to dress it up. I can see where I still need work, but please don't add to the stress by making me feel like I am less. Don't try to tell me the limits of being human. You don't know my soul. It was made to expand, even if it makes a mess, because I am a goddess in embryo. I was born limitless. Woo! So these fences and frames that you try to put me in can't fit my future. My senses and the shames of my past have finally healed enough to burst the sutures, and we're not even close to mapping the limits of what I can do. So although I know that damage isn't your intent, but rather trying to prevent what you deem unworthy from entering the world, your energy is misspent. Because by choosing this trail and innately following my feet, then at the best, in the end, I will know the triumph of high achievement, and at the worst, if I fail, at least I will fail while daring greatly, so that my place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. There's no telling what's in the archives of my future. And while I don't need your approval right now or ever, I still have a hope that when I'm through with this step in my journey, that you might see how much I grew, that you might have a different view, that you might finally understand what I already knew to be true, and instead of telling me what to do, that instead I might hear the words from you, well done. What else can you do?